Riley, we're going to be advancing pretty quickly. I have a bunch of animations, and I'll spare you the drama as we go through. My name is Justin Lindstrom. I am the Digital Applications Manager at Belimo. Been with Belimo since 2016. The main function there is to for these more, I'll say complicated, but these connected device and products, I assist both internal, external customers with not only product design, but how to implement them, integrate them, kind of help define various objects if you're BACnet people, and kind of work in that almost PM realm between use cases and users and liaising with engineering. Previous to that, I was like most talkers here today, I was a systems integrator, kind of come from that background in field chasing comm loops, so I'm very familiar with that particular struggle. If you advanced, Riley. Let's see what do we got. Just keep going. All right, so we kind of break our product line down into two different categories. We have connected, which is like analog style devices that are represented just like analog input, analog output. They're controllable over a communication bus. On the right-hand side, that's our flagship valve, the energy valve. And we call those smart devices, and why we call that is they have temperature sensors, they have some ability to perform some logic, some application-specific logic. A lot of them have the ability to store trending information, as well as communicate over a bus. Riley, if you would. Let's see what we got here. Just keep on going. Fill them up. So this is our product line. Keep on going. So on the left-hand side, we have these are all devices that we make that communicate BACnet MSTP and Modbus RTU. So these cover pretty much all the applications you know Belimo by, whether water, we have PR 1440 inch-pound actuator, we have pipe and duct sensors, we have outside air quality sensors. We have a new product line, fairly new, called Belimo Sensors Inc. These are gas monitors, and as well as the new room operating unit that is BACnet MSTP. Keep on going, Riley. All right, so on the right side, these are the IP connected devices. So this is BACnet IP and Modbus TCP. And same layout. So these are both valve and damper actuators. We have some globe valves, as well as both versions of fail-safe, spring and electronic. Go to Riley next, please. Keep on cycling. So what's kind of a little bit more about this, we call them dash mod because we had Modbus before we had BACnet, but we never changed the material number. So what's actually really cool, why I like these particular devices a lot, is not only they communicate, they actually have the ability to hook up sensors to them. And with that, we can do it active, we can do it passive, we can, as well as a switch digital contact. And that's the kind of information you get. Not only you send position command, you can get the feedback, you get sensor value, and actuator status. This is kind of cool. This is kind of where we kind of expand from that analog model where instead of these ins and outs, actually, who wires feedback on damper actuators? So one. Anybody else? Who does it on purpose? Because it costs more money. Okay. All right, so this is kind of, we call it feedback for free because you're already connecting to it, you get all this information from this device. So if a damper gets stuck, someone clutches it out and forgets to release it, this is actually some of that information that could be really useful when troubleshooting, like, zones over temp, feedback, set point aren't matching. These are just little pieces of information that you get by connecting these devices. Well, if you would. Okay. So this is the IP series. So this is BACnet IP, Modbus TCP. Same kind of setup, except that you can actually hook up two sensors to this particular device, as well as it has the ability to connect to our cloud. That's Belimo's own hosted cloud infrastructure. Well, if you would. Just fill it up, if you would. All right, and these are our smart devices. Keep on going. And this is where we have some kind of sensor, some kind of application logic inside, and then, again, the ability to communicate. So this from start on the left-hand side, we have a 6-way EPIV. This is great for like chilled beams, so we can do both heating and cooling. We have that one kind of, I guess, the 10 o'clock position is a VAV compact. This is our airflow measurement and control actuator. Next over is our VRU. So same guts as the VAV, but allows you to hook it up to a different damper. So you can do, if you need a larger torque range, you hook it up. Next one over is fairly new, is FSKN. This is a remote fire smoke damper testing. So NFPA, I think it was 2 years ago, now allows you to remotely test fire smoke and damper actuators. So you send BACnet, discover, bring in the objects. There's actually one object, command, you send a test. It goes through its paces, opens and closes, hits the various contacts, comes back and gives you a yay or nay. So no longer do you need to do line of sight testing. So it's a pretty neat device. Zip economizer. Who's familiar with the zip economizer? Just curious? Okay, great. Okay. What else we got there? So EPIV, this is just a pressure independent flow control valve. Give it a set point, give it a position. We have flange and as well as flagship energy valve, which is PoE. A lot of talk about IP connectivity. This is our first foray into those PoE devices. Okay, Riley Fluid. All right, keep going. Just go ahead and fill it out. So I kind of want to bring some applications of this. You can keep going. So some actual applications of these devices. This one's actually one of my favorite. This is an OEM that hired a local controls contractor to outfit these fermentation tanks for their brewery. And so what ended up happening was they didn't have enough I/O in this particular controller they were using. And they're like, how do we make this system extensible? So I forget how the call came in, but we eventually started talking to both the OEM and the integrator and said, hey, listen, we have this line of IP devices. This might suit you well. So what ended up happening is on that first tank represents what they had. They're like, hey, listen, we don't want to buy a new controller every time we want to increase the capacity of this brewing system. So with the IP device, super simple. They run Cat5 back, put it into a switch, and it made all of that sensor and control ability available to that, their control sequence. So they just infinitely made their system extensible just by leveraging communications. Right, if you would. Okay. So this is our room operating unit, BACnet MSTP. You can click again if you would. So this was a DCV retrofit. So I forget, somewhere north, I believe Maine. And what the intent was, they want to revamp their system to do DCV control, and they needed to do in-zone occupancy sensing. And what ended up happening was someone missed it on the schedule and in the spec. So when they got on site and they're going through commissioning, like, where's the occupancy sensor? So that particular device has a digital input contact. They're able to run the occupancy to the digital contact and bring that information through to the front end and then apply logic to it. So it was actually kind of saved the day for that particular the contractor. Proud if you would. Okay, keep going. This one's actually, a lot of talk about clouds and data centers and data lakes. This right here is an application for a chip manufacturer that came through and needed a specific style of control for these particular server racks. This is direct chip cold plate technology. And so what's actually happening, that's our EV4. And we're taking a DP sensor, putting it across supply and return, and how they want to control these particular servers is by a DP. Because really each and every one of those represents an identical CV. So if you know DP, you can figure out the flow across all the various racks. We try to sell them on pressure independent solutions, on flow monitoring solutions, but it kind of you can't do that for every single rack. Go back if you would. And so actually now the latest version of Energy Valve 4 includes this mode of operation. It's called DP control. So I know you guys have a pretty extensive data center space down here. This is actually now on one of the manufacturer's reference designs. So you might be seeing this particular application in a data center near you. Riley, if you would. Okay. I mean, all this morning we heard about, IP connectivity, AI, this access to data and how important the data is. If you keep on advance, please. So we recognized this years ago when we're still figuring out, like a lot of other manufacturers of devices. Advance, please. And so we have we call Belimo Cloud. It's our digital ecosystem. And we first started off using it for production. Like every time a Belimo device is made, it gets serialized. At that instance, there is another instance in the digital twin. So that's mirrored. So even if it's never connected, and how we connect is hardwired with IP, or we have an app, we call it a temporary connection. So you scan it, parameterize it. That creates an instance. Phone's home kind of registers it as a device in the cloud. But we use this in production. Send it, give it serialized, send it to the cloud. We temporary connection, permanent connection, as well as we have various apps that help you configure C devices, have access to the data. And behind that, there it is. Okay, so it's free. We do not charge for this service. We will not charge for this service. It's easy to use. We have an open architecture. It's actually pretty easy to use. It's a RESTful API. And I say GDPR for if you're in the space and you know that's EU, so big deal. Riley, if you click next. This is the actual status of the various privacy initiatives in the US. And you can see some are pending, some have been passed. It is a quagmire of compliance. Go to Riley, if you would. So yesterday, we've reached our milestone of over 1 million digital twins. It's like, okay, wow, what does that mean? So it means at least 1 million of these particular devices, whether with our app or through a hardwired connection, have been linked in the cloud. And we fully admit, we don't know what to do with all this data. There's a tremendous amount of information coming from these devices. It's like, okay, well, what are we going to do? A couple conversations came up today already as far as semantics and ontologies, how to tag these pieces of information so as it percolates up and it doesn't lose its value and kind of get interpreted incorrectly. So we work very hard. We have a couple members on ASHRAE that sit on these various groups so we can get this right. Because as an end device manufacturer, at the point of control, that to us is one of the most important, I'll say data cleansing, but the phrase single point of truth, to get that information at its source, to be able to pass it through, we don't take that very lightly. Riley, if you would. Okay, so, and again, as a device manufacturer, we don't offer any services on this cloud information. This is we just store it because we need integrators, cloud integrators, to work with it and offer up their own services. If you click again, you're from Code Labs. These are just different collaborators, we call them. Tenant building, analytics, construction management. Riley, if you advance. Actually, I have a Node Red if you want to mess around. If you're familiar with Node Red and Raspberry Pi, you can get into one of those and grab some information and mess around. Okay, Riley, advance, please. Keep on going. All right, so this aspect is of interest to you. We have a developer space where we have a bunch of examples on how to access and pull in this information, manipulate it. If you press again, please. In kind of examples of how to structure, we talk about JSON. Actually, what's pretty cool, if you take the examples, throw them in, and don't know, and messed it up, throw it into ChatGPT, it'll spit it back at you with the correct formatting. So, okay, advance. So those particular devices I showed you, if you're interested, that QR code will lead you to a communication brochure that lists all the products and the various material numbers for them. That's it. That's all I got. Thank you.